Kicking things off with tip numero uno, we've got the move it or lose it. Right off the rip, the fight for democracy is an uphill battle, and this isn't even taking into account the enemy armies. No, the true cabal of elites pulling the strings behind the scenes is the enemy within, and by within, I mean within the settings. That's right, the biggest hurdle for new recruits isn't a bug, robot, or squid, but the devs who decided to handicap every new player with these trash WASD default keybinds for calling in stratagems. If you're playing on keyboard and mouse, the absolute first thing I recommend is to set yourself up for success and change the stratagem keybinds from hold to press for the initial stratagem activation button, and then changing the WASD arrow mapping to the actual up, down, left, right arrow keys. Doing so will allow you to toggle on the stratagem menu with a single button press, and then allows you to keep on the move with the WASD keys with your left hand, allowing your right hand to play a little dance revolution so that you don't have to play by freeze tag rules every time you phone a friend up at Star Command. Moving on to tip numero dos, we've got the Scout motto. I know that the default salute that they teach all you at the academy is a closed back of the fist, shoulder height, and held proud, but really what we should be teaching is to slap on a sash, spin that mono around, and chuck up a 3. There's a whole bunch of variables that make up a mission, and a lot can go wrong in the process, so it's of the utmost importance to summon your inner scout and be prepared. There's a huge variety of different mission types, and you and your squad success ultimately comes down to picking the right tool for the job. Before you even think about slamming those boots into your pod and going full Snoop D-O double G, dropping it like it's hot, make sure your loadout matches the mission on hand. For example, if you need to destroy a whole bunch of bases, maybe rocking some eagle and orbital strikes is better than strapping on a flamethrower, shield pack, and sentry. On the other hand, I'm sure your squad mates will be muy apreciado if on the close quarters 500 square foot tower defense blitz mission, you don't pull up to the scene with a Cold War era nuclear arsenal in hand. Trust me, I know from personal experience, the temptation is hard to resist when you finally get your hands on that 500 kg hammer and even the smallest of enemies start looking like a nail. Obviously, at the end of the day, what you wind up bringing to the battlefield is totally a matter of your own personal preference, and let's remember to have some fun. But for the cadets out there plagued by analysis paralysis, a solid early loadout, in my humble opinion, that will get you quite far is rocking the Liberator AR or either of the shotguns, the regular secondary pistol, the impact grenade, and then for stratagems, the expendable anti-tank, Eagle airstrike, and orbital precision strike. And then for the 4th slot, pick whatever makes you happy. This loadout is by no means perfecto, but it gives you a little bit of everything and is all unlockable at a fairly early level, so it allows you to be a jack of all trades and handle most situations that get thrown at you. Also, keep in mind that what works well against the buggos like fire doesn't necessarily work as well against the bots or the illuminate, and vice versa. So before strapping into your Hellpod and slamming the "it's go time" button, make sure you actually know who's on the other team and dress accordingly. Tip numero tres is the full penetration. These enemigos of ours have varying levels of armor, and making sure you're getting full penetration and hitting them where it hurts is fundamental for our fight for freedom. This means knowing your enemy and knowing your weapons, so get familiar with the different ops and what level of firepower is needed to take them down. At different difficulty levels, enemies cap out at certain armor levels, so when you're selecting the mission level at the little planet hub thing, keep note of what the maximum armor level of the enemies will be and plan your loadout accordingly. You most definitely do not want to be the guy who winds up bringing the Super Soaker to the Palisades wildfire. In general, there are 4 armor levels: light, medium, heavy, and anti-tank. And for the weaponry, you can check the properties of the armor-piercing attributes by pressing the More Info button, which is tab on the PC. Sorry, console folks, you're going to have to figure this one out for yourself. And for your stratagems, you can check these properties at the ship terminal as well. You know, as they say, knowledge is power, and hitting the books, or the tab key in this case, is definitely the fastest path to becoming an academic weapon. Coming in at tip numero cuatro is the Stim To Win. Probably the most underutilized item in most troopers' kit has got to be the humble stim. Standard operating procedures grants each diver with 2 and the capacity for 4, which can be replenished from either on-planet supply caches or orbital dropped resupplies. And sorry cadets, but despite what all the Gymshark influencers would have you believe, that anyone can successfully escape enemy encampments completely unscathed with just hard work, determination, and a diet of chicken, broccoli, and rice, it's simply not the truth. I hate to be the guy to break it to you, but if you truly want to make it to the top, you're gonna have to ditch your natty card and hop on some of that Jamba Juice. For those fellas out there new to the Mr. Olympia world of competitive diving, you should know that shooting up that sauce can be used to restore your health bar and repair any major injuries like hemorrhaging or broken limbs. However, some lesser known side effects include that it grants you both increased stamina and health regeneration during the full 4-second duration, effectively giving you infinite stamina and recovery. This ability comes in absolutely clutch and can be used to get out of dodge or tank incoming damage, so don't be afraid to preemptively pop a little pick-me-up, if you know what I'm saying, if you know you're going to be going for a jog through the wrong neighborhood. Furthermore, it's rather curious that diver and doctor both start with a D and end with an R, meaning that you definitely have the qualifications to practice medicine and administer some syringos to our comrades. So if you see a fellow diver who's sucked down his last stim and is in dire need of a little pick-me-up, remember that sharing is caring. So make sure to help a homie out and stim them up with one of your own before sending them back onto the battlefield with a nice little tap to the gluteus maximus that your Little League baseball coach would be mighty proud of. To further cement yourself as the real MVD, the most valuable doctor, make sure to pick up one of the armor sets with the medkit ability from the standard warbond. This grants an additional 2 stimmy shots for a total of 6, and pairing this up with the Hellpod Space Optimization Booster, also found in the standard warbond, gives all divers in your party their maximum allowance of consumables. This way, whenever you exit the pod, you'll be chock full of the special sauce, and pharmaceutical reps will be bribing you in no time. And finally, tip numero 5, we've got the dive to survive. Although you most definitely went over the uses of the dive during your basic training, those pencil necks back at command do a pretty poor job of explaining how useful this ability actually is. Not only does it increase your chance of survival when caught in nearby explosions, but you also get damage resistance to pretty much any incoming source, and most enemy attacks will just straight up whiz over your head when you hit the deck. Getting shot at? Take a dive. Incoming airstrike or barrage? Take a dive. Stuck in a horde of enemies? Take a dive. Basically, if something bad is happening to you, then 9 out of the 10 times, it's usually a good time to take a dive. And doing so exponentially increases your rate of survival. Believe it or not, there's a reason the word divers is in the title. So hombres, let's start pumping those flopping numbers up, because we're at some rookie numbers now. I'm talking some Copa Mundial levels that would put the 2014 Brazil national team to shame. Anyways, hopefully this was helpful. Let me know anything I got wrong or any of your tips down below. Thanks for tuning on in, and we'll catch you next time. Adios,
The only
amigos.
logical option.
No
Who is
way.
kill? I'm so sorry.